It's a good day to brew, baby. What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Millsy, back at Hometown Commander, back for another episode of Millsy Brews, the show where I brew a version 1.0 deck list of the commander in front of us on my quest to brew the magic world. You know the model, baby. It's ABB, always be brewing, and that's what we're back to do today. The deck list is going to be down in the description for you below, as well as I'd really appreciate it if you could interact with the video, like, comment, subscribe. Consider checking out the links in the description. Mike and I are in the Discord. We're chatting. We'd love to chat with you. But today, it felt wrong to do our Innistrad Remastered fun and not at least cover the curses once, right? These are a type of cards that have existed in Magic for a bit now. We've seen some each time we've gone back to Innistrad, where you enchant a player and something bad happens to them. And we finally got a great commander for them in Lynde, Cheerful Tormenter back in Midnight Hunt. Whenever a curse is put into our graveyard from the battlefield, we get to return it to the battlefield attached to you at the beginning of the next end step. And at the beginning of our upkeep, we can attach a curse attached to you to one of your opponents, and if we do, we draw 2 cards. So I think Lynde is really fun because the curses, I think the problem, right, is someone either removes them or someone loses the game, right, and they unattach, and then they're kind of stuck in the graveyard. Now we are in colors that we can get things back, but what I like is she brings them back attached to us, which could be a negative, right, depending on which curses they are. But then our upkeep, we get to kind of redistribute them back out to who we want them to. So if somebody removes one, right, we get it back. There's a couple ways we can look at this. I think we want to play off all these constellation style effects since they're going to be leaving and coming back, right? There's a lot of those that we have access to in these 3 colors that are actually really good. We can actually use the multiple upkeep type cards to still take advantage of Lynde to be able to basically attach more than one if we have them attached to us. And then we'll talk about a few cards at the end that I just think are good value, but they just don't fit any of that category. There's a lot of curses. I just tried my best to pick the ones that I liked the best, and the truth is there's a lot of them. I think we're playing 27 or 28 in the deck, so there's a lot of them to go around. Curse of Bloodletting. Pick a player. When that player is dealt damage, it deals double that damage instead. Curse of Death's Hold. Creatures enchanted player controls get -1/-1. Curse of Disturbance. Whenever a player is attacked, get a 2/2 zombie. Each opponent attacking the player does the same, so people can get zombies for attacking that player. Hospitality. Creatures attacking that player have trample. And whenever a creature does damage to that player exiles the top card of their library until the end of turn. That creature's controller can play that card and cast mana of those any color. Leeches. Beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, they lose 1 and we gain 1. Misfortunes. Beginning your upkeep, you may search your library for a curse card that doesn't have a name as a curse attached to this player and put it on the battlefield attached to that player. This is a great one, right? Allowing us to get multiple curses out at once, right? And really start pushing more onto the board. Opulence. Anyone who attacks him get a gold token, which is effectively a treasure. It's just called something different. Shaken Faith. Whenever the player casts a spell other than the first spell they cast each turn, that deals 2 damage to them. Shallow Graves. Whenever a player attacks enchanted player with 1 or more creatures, they make a zombie tapped on the battlefield tapped. Stalk Prey. Whenever somebody deals damage to that player, put a counter on that creature, the creature that hits them. Surveillance. At the beginning of that player's upkeep, any number of target players other than them draw cards equal to the number of curses attached to that player. A very interesting way to hand out card draw. Curse of the Nightly Hunt. That player has to attack each combat if able. Restless Dead. Whenever a land comes in or that player's control, we get a zombie. Curse of Thirst. Whenever at that player's upkeep, it deals damage to them equal to the number of curses attached to them. Unbinding. At the beginning of that player's upkeep, that player reveals cards from the top till they hit a creature. We put that on the battlefield under our control, and they put the rest in their graveyard. Right. So the hope here is you see that some of these curses are going to be really good against some decks and not so good against others. So we want to try to pick them on the best player we like at that time, right? Verbosity. Whenever that player's attacked, draw a card. Maddening Hex. Whenever that player casts a non-creature spell, you roll a d6. They take that much damage, then you attach it to one of your other opponents at random. And then Trespasser's Curse. Whenever a creature comes in under that player's control, they lose 1 and we gain 1. So you could see just the wealth of different things that Trespasser's Curse has, that all these curses have that can affect our opponents. But I think where we really take the curses and make it better for us is these constellation type effects that take advantage of these curses coming in or hitting the graveyard or coming back with Lynde. Balmark Leech deals 1 damage to each opponent loses a life. Doomwake Giant, -1/-1 to all creatures our opponents control. Entity Tracker draws us a card. So this is anytime 1 comes in. So just, if we play multiple in a turn or Lynde brings multiple back, right? Multiple of these go off. Fiercely Paralysis, being able to tap things down and stunning it and keeping it stunned. Grim Guardian, each opponent loses a life. Parthian Thaumaturge is an interesting one. So whenever enchantment comes in, it can become a copy of another creature, except it has this ability. I like this to be able to copy something like Grim Guardian or Doomwake Giant, and kind of double up on those abilities when we need them. Wicked Visitor, whenever an enchantment is put in the graveyard from the battlefield, right? Each opponent loses a life, so that's great. When they go, we're getting that. Crystal Chimes for 3 mana can bring all enchantments from our graveyard back to our hand. If somebody kills Lynde and then all the curses, right, we can still get them back. And then we have a couple cards like this in the deck. I just showed Estrid's Invitation as a way to show that in blue we have 4 or 5 options to copy enchantments. So we can actually copy curses, right, and attach them to players. Remember that Estrid's has the option to exile it and bring it back in and pick another one to copy. Remember that if an aura isn't cast, it does not target the thing that it attaches to. So if your opponents have Shroud or anything like that, they're not going to be able to get around it, and it'll allow us, or Hexproof, and it'll allow us to hit the right players with the right things. I also like Estrid's Invocation because if you get a key curse, right, you could kind of double up on it. But there's a lot of options to get extra upkeep. So Bika, whenever it hits somebody, can give you an additional upkeep. Sorry, that many additional ones. The Ninth Doctor, whenever it becomes untapped, during your untapped step, you get an additional upkeep, so that's pretty great, right? Another Lynde that they give like Strionic Resonator to double up on that trigger. Paradox Haze and Shadow of the Second Sun each give us additional upkeeps. Again, the point is that there's ways to get more upkeeps to deliver more of those curses back out after they get removed and come back to us. It's important, and I think it's good to have that in mind as we're building our game plan. But all right, I said these were value adders because the truth is I think they represent some smaller sub-themes in the deck that just aren't the whole point. Like Bothersome, Quazit, go to creatures our opponents control can't block. Whenever we cast a non-creature spell, go target creature our opponent controls. We're playing some goad in the deck just to try to force our opponents to attack each other, try to get the chaos going and really take advantage of it. Braids is kind of an interesting one. Beginning of our end step, we could sack an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. If we do, each opponent may sacrifice 1. If they don't, that player loses 2 life, and we draw a card. This is really useful because remember, we can sack the curses, and they'll come back, right? And then, right, we'll kind of get the 2 life on everybody and potentially multiple cards for free. So Braids works really well for that. Maha, just a way to help us kind of shut our opponents down a little bit, weaken their creatures, works really well with the curse that gives everything -1/-1. That's the extent of that combo we're playing. We're not digging deep into that. It's just there to help. Asinine Antics can get a bunch of roll tokens, which are enchantments in it once. For each creatures our opponents control, we can make a cursed roll attached to them. This plus, Doomwake Giant or Grim Guardian or Belmark Leech could lead to a lot of damage in one turn. Disrupt Decorum, just to goad all creatures we don't control. And then I really like Ghoulish Impetus. It's very interesting. We're not playing a ton of these impetuses, but they're interesting. So this one gives a creature +1/+1 death touch and is goaded. Whenever the enchanted creature dies, we return this to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step, pick another creature, goad it. I really like that for impetus, allowing us to take advantage of, trying to goad the right creature that we don't want to hit us, right? Maybe somebody's Voltron commander or a key flyer that we can't block. There's a lot of ways to look at that, and I think it's important to try to point them other directions. But I've said it before on the show, and I'll say it again, no deck's ever complete. This is my version 1.0 shot at Lynde. I think there's a lot to learn in testing. Do we have enough curses? There are more. We're not actually playing all of the curses that are available. There was, I believe, 8 or 9 more. So the question is, do we need to bring more in? Is that count enough? We could look at that. Extravagant Replication on there on the right is just to show you that there are more copy enchantments, and there are actually more things that make copies of things every turn, like Extravagant Replication or like Court of Vantress. Do we want more of those to copy the curses? I think that's a very important thing. And we have some others in the deck. I just didn't know how much of the actual, deck slots to commit to that. And that'd be something I want to see in testing. And then there's just something like Mogus. Do we want more of these things that punish all of our opponents that aren't curses? I just like the idea of Mogus because it's going to be an annoying effect for our opponents. It's indestructible, so it's going to get around some removal. And then eventually, once we have enough curses, right, it can just become a pretty awesome creature. So it's not like I'm dying for Mogus, but the truth is it's an option of another thing that we could have access to. Well, let's get into our playtests. Again, I can't playtest what my opponents are doing. whenever I play a curse, we're just going to assume I pick the player that it's most relevant for. I'm not really going to reserve their effects unless it's something where it's attacking. But the truth is, we just want to see how this engine is going to work. Keeping a 2-lander with a Talisman of Creativity. Remember, we need 4 for Lynde. Restless Dead, Nightly Hunt, and Hospitality in hand. We'll get the Sunken Hollow in tapped. Turn 2, I think we'll just get our Creativity in. We now have access to all 3 of our colors. So here on turn 4, we can get Lynde in. I guess there is an argument to get the curses in first, right? Since we could still get value from them. I just figure we get Lynde in first here. Paradox Haze is great, but we really don't have enough down just yet. I think someone's like a big landfall deck. I think Restless Dead's probably the first one I pick. Otherwise, I think I would just Nightly Hunt somebody, have their creatures be forced to attack. Maybe they end up attacking me, but the point is maybe that will help us, take down one of our opponents. Can I Entity Tracker and Sign in Blood? I cannot. I don't have a double black. I like the Entity Tracker, just start drawing right when we're playing these. Verbosity, maybe we just pick a player and let's say Lynde attacks them and draws a card. Again, my point is just trying to do somewhat of simulation. That actually would probably allow us to Sign in Blood this turn. Next turn here, we see Mirror Maid, one of the ways in the deck we do have to copy one of them. So I think it's just Entity Tracker plus one of the curses. Again, pick one of the ones that we think is best. We have Propaganda now to protect us from being attacked. Maybe that's a choice, since we've got a couple enchantments and we have one player that has to attack. And then, going into turn 7 mana rate, pick somebody to curse, Mirror Maid, pick somebody else to curse, and just keep this curse string going. If they die, right, it draws us 2. If they die, we get to bring them back with Lynde and reattach them. I think you start to see how this game plan works. The point is just getting the value from these as they come down and using, some pieces like that to protect us. But let's get into playtest number 2. Again, it's hard there without knowing what our opponents are playing to know where specifically those curses go, or, maybe we focus on different curses in different orders depending on what our opponents are playing. Here was a 3-lander with Sign in Blood, Obsession, Read the Bones for some draw, and Curse of Verbosity, and there's another land. So we just play that, right? We play that Xander's Lounge. Here we can play the Wicked Visitor, because again, it's not like it cares about anything in particular. Kind of like the idea of just reading the bones. We get to scry 2 and then draw 2 and lose 2 life. I think it's well worth it. We see Soul Ring and Talisman. I think I'm plenty okay with both of those, right? That's a way to start getting access to more mana, right? We go Soaring into Talisman into Lynde, I guess. Get into our next turn, and that way we could start playing some more curses. We got 6 mana. I could Sign in Blood, see what it gets me. My thought is just try to draw into some more. So I guess we go Verbosity plus Trespasser's Curse, right? Just try to get some curses in, right? Get the party started. Next turn, 9 mana. Get a curse in, we could disrupt if somebody's really going off, right? We could just disrupt and goad everybody. But really, we just need more card draw, unfortunately. Let's see. So if we could hit the player, we put the Verbosity on, then attack them, then we could draw a card. And then, maybe we do that this turn since Lynde has Death Touch. I think this is a half-decent place to stop. Again, we missed some of our draw, but we're in a decent shape. We got some good curses. Hopefully we have on the right people. Knowing that we can attack, we can potentially draw some cards, right? And just try to work our way into some more stuff. We've got removal, we got mass removal. So the nice part is that Lynde's okay if she goes away because the curses still stay, right? So we have the Blasphemous Edict, just in case we need to do that. But let's get into playtest number 3. Keep an 4-lander with Shaken Faith, Opulence, and a Talisman of Dominance. So that's pretty good. I think we're in good shape here. We'll put the Necropolis in turn 1. Turn 2. The unfortunate part is I think that Sulphur Falls and Choke Destroyer are going to come and tap no matter what at the moment. So we take this turn off, or do we take next turn off? All all three of these are coming in tap, so I don't think I have a choice. I guess I can opulence someone, maybe encourage some people to get attacking, right? Because my thought here is 3 plus this, and then get the Shake It Faith on somebody. Again, we want to get the curses down because, you know, it's not like Lynde draws from them coming in or anything. Now we can get Lynde in just to protect those curses just a little bit. 6 mana here. I love the idea of the Death's Hold on somebody in particular we know they want. Maybe we try to attack the person that has that has the opulence to get us a gold token just so we have access to it. There we go. I like Bothersome Quake, right? Way to start goading things. Maybe that plus the Nightly Hunt. And again, you know, just keep churning out, try to draw right when possible. I think we're in not a bad shape here. We got some good curses out. Again, I wish we had an easier way to draw in our hands. But I think Surveillance makes a nice way to do that. If multiple of these are on the same player, we just Surveillance next turn. We could draw that way. I know the playtests are kind of truncated, but the truth is it's very hard when you don't know who's playing what for the curses. And I think we're still demonstrating kind of our value engines in the back end. But let me know, what do you think of Lynde down in the comment section below. I think the deck's really interesting. I still feel like I'm missing something in the deck. I feel like it's all there. There's a good amount of it there. It's just, I think the more I playtested it getting ready for the video, and the more that I feel like it's just card draw. You don't have access to the white, you know, and green enchantresses like you do. That's why I tried to put in more card draw. But, you know, we'd see over more playtests what we think of that. But let me know, what do you think of Lynde, and I will catch you guys next time.